I want to talk to you. Look, if you're new to the show, here's what's different about this show. I will tell you, I don't have all the answers. I'm a dad. I'm just trying to figure things out. And something has been bothering me about this economic crisis. And so if you don't mind, let's just think it out loud together here for a second. Let's just say you're a doctor, and you work in an emergency room, and all of a sudden there's hundreds of sick people in your waiting room, and they all have exactly the same symptoms. They have fever, vomiting, collapsing banks. Things are so urgent that you're forced to act fast. Got to act fast. These patients are all dying. What is the first thing that you would do? First thing you would do is you would try to find something that they all have in common, right? Well, in this crisis, it seems like everybody has jumped to the diagnosis that capitalism is what is so bad, and America is patient zero, and somehow or another, we're the one that infected the entire world. I'd like to point out that we're the one who changed the whole world. I don't believe we're the infection here. Look around the world. I got together with the Heritage Foundation and looked at all of where is this crisis hitting? It's hitting capitalist, socialist, communist, totalitarian governments, all of them, and everything in between. At some point, if you're the doctor again in the emergency room, and you really want to get these people healthy, you got to rule out, okay, well, it's not capitalism. Okay, what is it? You need to stop to ask the question that a doctor would ask in that situation. Okay, everybody, where did you eat? What have you had to eat? All of these countries all have that in common. They have all eaten at the same restaurant, the restaurant of central banking. It is a system that no one is accountable to. No one. The brilliant geniuses that are supposed to be protecting us, that's why central banks are around. We'll stop it. We'll make sure there's no recession, there's no depression. We'll just keep these bubbles from happening. They never at one point, if we were patient zero, at one point in no country did they say, don't follow the United States, don't do that. Never. They've had their hands in all of the food. And that's what's making us sick. Will anyone look at the central banking system? All right. Government is taking over in the UK. Is that a big deal? Gold? Should we be looking at that? What is going on? Joining me now is Jonathan Honig. He is a portfolio manager at Capitalist Pig. I love that. And Harry Dent, author of the new book, The Great Depression Ahead. Okay, Harry, that's not really a happy title.
No, it's not, but we've been bullish for 20 years. We're saying there's a reason that things have changed. Demographics are going to slow now, the baby boom generation, as they age, and we have too much. One of the symptoms, too much debt and leverage, and now the solution is, oh, we need more debt and leverage. That can't work.
Will you go with me at all that the central planning, if you will, the central bank, the Fed of trying to not let anybody ever feel any pain, that is at the center of the problem. It's the cancer that none of us will talk about.
It is. For example, stocks crash. We had that tech wreck.
Right.
The government lowers interest rates so low that we get a housing bubble, and now that's a bigger disease. Banking system gets killed by falling house prices, but houses have gone so high, they're going to have to deflate. Otherwise, we're handing high house prices to future generations, which is just as bad as handing debt.
So, Jonathan, we're talking now about everybody is too big to fail. You just don't fail. Failure is a part of life. Look, I've been a failure most of my life. Only recently was I at any kind of, and I'll be a failure again, but I won't be a loser. I'll pick myself back up again. That's what losers don't do. Now we're saying failure isn't part of life.
And now, Glenn, it's all of our responsibilities to pick those failures up. I mean, the more the government's done, basically going back to March of 2008, last March, when we stepped in with $29 billion for Bear Stearns, the more we've done to try to pick those failures up, to use your point, the worse the economy has gotten. And you know what? $2 trillion later, we have truly nothing to show for it. Unfortunately, it's a trend that's it's going to continue. It's going to keep continuing, and the economy is likely to get much, much worse.
Volcker said yesterday in the hearings that trillions of dollars were going to be needed. Harry, where do we come up with trillions of dollars that it doesn't just impact us for many, many years in the future.
Well, see, normally if you had a good economy and there's going to be more baby boomers buying, you could take over these assets, do this, and you'd turn around. That happened in the 90s.
Right.
We don't have that. We're not going to be able to pay back these debts. If they take over these banks and these assets, they're going to be worth less in years, and the taxpayers are going to pay for it this time. So debt is not the answer. You have to deflate the system with liquidity to make it easier, but you have to let it deflate.
Okay, so Harry, you say that a depression is coming.
Yeah.
Jonathan, do you think a depression is coming?
Well, Ken, I mean, Glenn, all I know is you don't build a thriving capitalist economy on socialist ideals. I mean, as you pointed out, it's never happened any time in history. And if you look at that heritage index of prosperous countries, yes, all countries have been suffering, all economies have been suffering, but the most prosperous countries have always been the most capitalist ones.
Wouldn't it
so
be
all
better?
this, government's now the made.
If we want to spend all this money, wouldn't it be better if we took all of this money and shored up the dollar, and as a country we bought gold? If we did something that was building something of value, we're not doing anything that increases value in anything.
Yeah, and build infrastructure. You got to remember, in 1933,
they're not talking about real infrastructure. They're talking about fixing bridges. It's not like in 44 when we finished, we had jet engines and nuclear energy, and we had all this. That's not what we're talking about now.
Well, also, you have to wash out this banking system excess first. FDR came in after that happened in 1933. The Great Depression had already bottomed. Obama's coming in. Is it starting? These programs, this stimulus program is not going to work. It's going to backfire within a year.
Last comment.
And Glenn, you asked about gold. I got to tell you, my phone is ringing off the hook. People wanting to buy gold, wanting to buy silver, who are scared to death of the government coming in and basically ruining the currency, which is exactly what's happened in Britain over the last couple of weeks. They took over Northern Rock, they're nationalizing the banks.
Is that a real
This is about 3 ounces of gold. This is a brick of silver, and this has held its value quite strongly, even as our own currency has declined.
He's in Chicago and about to go back on the streets. What, you nuts? Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys again.
Thanks, Glenn.
All right, government's new health care plan needs more people to pick up smoking. That's actually true. I'll explain next.
I'm not a crook.